Good morning. We can get started now. I think the mic is, Mr. T, the mic is good? Okay, great. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Greg Smith. I'm director of the Hastings Alternative School Program, and I'd like to welcome everyone here today. I'd like to welcome our HASP students, our HASP staff, all of our invited guests, administrators from both the high school and the middle school, members of the PTSA, Dr. Wilson, our superintendent, and of course all of the graduates and their families for attending today. So welcome to our annual HASP graduation ceremony. Very often I find myself having to explain HASP to people. Having taught in the program now for 20 years and having been director for 17 of those 20, it's literally hundreds, if not thousands of times I've had to explain HASP. And what I noticed in the last year or so is that the way I explain HASP, I was almost getting like a deja vu feeling. Like when I was explaining it, I have a very it's not even rehearsed, it's so second nature just to talk about the program. But I noticed there was something about the cadence of my voice, the syntax of my phrases, that was exactly like something else I speak about. And I couldn't, for the longest time, if I'm talking about HASP or something else, they're almost exactly the same. And I could never figure out what that something else was until the fall of this year when I was teaching the Constitution. And then it finally dawned on me. I talk about HASP the same way I teach about the U.S. Constitution. And then I thought, why the hell is that, right? What does one have to do with the other? So I sat down in the fall and I tried to deconstruct it a little bit. And I kind of, made in my head a Venn diagram of okay, what are they both? What's different about them? What do they both have in common? Hey guys, and I fundamentally, I came up with three fundamental things, three fundamental similarities between the U.S. Constitution and HASP. First and foremost, they both have core values that drive them. So it's freedom, republicanism, and democracy for the Constitution, and it's learning potential and character education for HASP. Secondly, they both put the needs of people first. For the Constitution, it's the American populace and American civil liberties. And for HASP, it's their students' academic and social needs. And finally, the one I think that's really the biggest commonality, and it's the thing that has led to both of their success and their longevity. Both HASP and the U.S. Constitution have evolved over time. The Constitution, it's 220-something years. For HASP, it's 34 years. And I found myself using the exact same words: adaptable, malleable, fluid, living. Both of these things are not static and always seeking to improve. So therefore, then I was reflecting on it even more, and I won't go too much into a history lesson as much as I want to as a history teacher, but if you kind of look at slices of U.S. history, a snapshot of America in 1800, and then 1870, 1920, things look different. Social norms are different, but there's always a thread there that those values are the same. So it's kind of the same thing with HASP. If we took a snapshot of HASP in 1989, and then 1992, 2011, yeah, fashion's different, hairstyles are different, the way students talk are different, but there's something there with the HASP students. There's always a desire to achieve, always a desire to reach their potential, and recognizing that HASP is a way for them to reach their potential. So this is one of the many things that makes HASP special. So we can look at, for example, the freedom lovers of 1789 when we talk about the Constitution, and look at freedom lovers of 2019. And the same thing for the HASP students and staff. We can look at the founding generation of HASP in 1985 and look back to those students and those teachers that put something in motion. And we can still see those values today in our program. So what you're about to witness today is a testament to those values that have been perpetuated over the last 34 years. So with that, I'd like to now turn it over to Miss Maria Rudolph, who is currently the HASP 12th grade English teacher, who got the seniors ready for today's day.
You guys ready? All right, good morning. So as Mr. Smith said, I'm Maria Rudolph, and I had the pleasure of having these guys in English 12 this year. And I'm thrilled to share with you the culmination of what essentially is the 9 different paths kind of coming to an end here in high school. This morning, you're going to hear straight from each of our graduates in ways that are authentically them. For some of these students, they've had things planned out since August. Others really hit them last night, the magnitude of the experience and the emotions that come with the closing of one of life's chapters. So I'm just as excited as you are to hear what these graduates have to say, because I haven't heard what they've written just yet. So if anything comes up, I would just ask that you please direct any complaints directly to Greg Smith and not right at me. So I do want to take a moment to thank the graduates today for always being themselves, for being nothing short of constantly entertaining, and for really never taking themselves too seriously. So what I love about this group, one of the many things that I love about this group, is how much they love a good story. Now, they might not love it as much if it's more than like 4 pages, but if you give them a complicated character, an ethical dilemma, anything really meaty that they can sink their teeth into, they become invested. This group dives into discussion and debate, looking for ways to think and apply their own perspective to the piece, reacting in ways you don't expect, asking questions that get each other talking, arguing, at times yelling occasionally. But they debate because they are working out their sense of themselves and their understanding of the world, its complications, and the relationships that go along with it. And while they're in the process of this really heavy and never-ending work, they've had the support of the HASP program to encourage that reflection. And so here we are today, about to hear straight from the source about their experiences of growth and realization. I'm extremely proud and excited to introduce you to each member of the graduating class of 2019. So our first speaker is here before 9 a.m., so I'm very proud and excited. He's a very dedicated and serious young man, very focused. Not only has he juggled a full and often very complicated schedule throughout high school, he has shown real commitment in doing so. Recently faced with a scheduling conflict, Diego worked it out so that he ensured that he'd be at our HASP trip. He's passionate about soccer and works with young kids at Aspire, and his calm nature and even temper make him perfectly suited for such a task. While some kids would have balked at the challenging situation Diego faced this year, he did not. Instead, he rose to the occasion. And so here he is, our first speaker today, Diego Rodriguez.
Oh, jeez. It's so silly until it's your turn, so here we go. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to start off by getting the thank yous out of the way, not because they're not well-deserved, but because that's the order I wrote my speech in. I'll start off by saying thank you to Mr. Smith, the HASP grandpa. I don't say he's a grandpa just because he's an old man, but I say that because, like any good grandpa does, Mr. Smith cares about his grandchildren, us, and steers them in the right direction. And yes, he's hard on us sometimes and he's loud sometimes, but that's because he cares a lot about us, and we know that, right, guys? Next, I'm going to thank Mr. Hunt. I've never had a teacher make me laugh the way Mr. Hunt does. I don't know if he's here right now. Mr. Hunt, right there. I've never had a teacher make me laugh the way you do. Your quirkiness is hilarious. You have a great energy about you. And I promise you I'll pay all my credit card bills on time because I know interest rates are crazy to recover from. So thank you. Next, Mr. Blum. Is Mr. Blum here? For those who don't know, I was late and absent so many times due to my senioritis in Ms. Rudolph's class that I didn't have enough seat time to get credit for my English 12 class. So I was stuck with Mr. Blum, or he was stuck with me. Last block every other day. Last block every other day for the entire second semester. Mr. Blum, thank you for being my personal one-on-one English teacher. Sorry for stealing your free period. Thank you. Mr. Scotch, thank you for enhancing my movie watching experience. I'll never be able to watch a movie like a regular moviegoer again. I now think I know the deeper meaning behind every scene, shot, and take. And I think I know what's going to happen next, and it never works out. So thank you, Mr. Scotch. Another teacher I'd like to thank is Ms. Atanasio. Yes, we've had our moments of disagreement, but despite all that, I truly think you're a great educator who cares about her students. Thank you for teaching me about why I'm me. I say that because I took psychology and sociology with Miss Atanasio. Now I constantly psychoanalyze myself and everyone. Miss Rep, is Miss Rep here? No? Anyways, Miss Rep, you've been more than understanding of my flaws and helped me better understand them myself. Yes, I still need to fix some things about myself, but we'll get there. To my classmates, Tani, your loudmouth will be missed slightly, and that's only because it doubles as my alarm clock in the morning and wakes me up for the rest of my day. Kaden, please never lose your confidence. Maybe, just maybe, turn down the cursing in certain social situations. But never lose your confidence. Michael Limatone, it's hard for me to admit that you're better than me at something, but we learned last week that you're better at pickleball. But you'll never be able to stop my shots as a goalie, so. Michael Pisa and Eli Jones, the kids that I grew up with my whole childhood, I hope we never lose our great conversations. Thanks for growing up with me. And if there's one thing that I want my classmates and the rest of my peers to take away from my speech, if there's one piece of advice I think I'm in a position to give, it's that we shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes. I really don't want anyone to be afraid to make mistakes, because if there's one thing that soccer's taught me, it's that mistakes are a good thing, and you need to embrace them, because the greatest learning opportunities occur when a mistake is made, and I truly believe that. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't made so many mistakes. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Starting strong. I think we can all agree how happy we are that our next speaker returned to us after a brief hiatus earlier this year. Eli Jones is someone who's always ready to give motivation and insight to the group. When he's present and focused on the task at hand, Eli is a sharp young man ready to take on challenges and rise to a leadership role. Here is Eli Jones.
Thank you all for coming. HASP has been a program that has encouraged me to succeed and get through high school. The strong community that the HASP family represents really takes care of their own and creates a safe place for those that need it. Mr. Smith orchestrates the program to perfection and fathers all aboard, making sure that they're on a straight line. Without HASP, I feel that I could be in an uncomfortable situation when it comes to my education, and I don't know where I'd be headed. Instead, 4 years of Mr. Smith patiently breathing down my neck has carved me into an 18-year-old boy pursuing a criminal justice degree at UAlbany in the fall. I always had a plan to go to college, but HASP got me there, and that alone goes to show the wonders that Mr. Smith pulls off in this program. I'd be lying if I said that I've always been committed with a straight head on, but HASP always seems to come through to hold me down and get me to where I need to be. Secondly, I'd like to thank all of those that helped me get to this moment. Parents in the room and any residents, know that your tax dollars are going to great use, because we have an all-star group of teachers and administration in the school that always help us strive to our goals. I want to start with Ms. Kikuchi, who would often be the first person I'd see when I'd walk in late freshman and sophomore year. She's always very nice and would always ask me how I'm doing, and to start my morning like that would always help me get through the day. Mr. Wilson is probably the most intelligent person I know. We can have conversations about anything and always say hi to me in the hallways, which again always helps me out. Miss Rudd, my favorite teacher all throughout high school. Freshman year, she really made me enjoy writing, and her tough love and unorthodox style of teaching really stuck with me and taught me valuable lessons that I'll hold on to for life. Miss Walters, yet another influential teacher. She here? No. There was an incident where we were being very disruptive in class, and she started crying, and it was a shock to me, but that really showed that she wanted us to learn for our own well-being and that she really cared about us. So thank you. Miss Ghostman, teacher who isn't on the favorite list of many students, but for me, I like her a lot. Despite my inconsistency, she was always accepting of me and would never give me a hard time. Mr. Hunt and Mr. Buchanan, their enthusiastic nature made history fun and easy to learn every single class. Mr. B taught me something I'll never forget, the power of mnemonics, to retain knowledge of something in any situation. Miss Rep, thank you for being an outlet to go to in school and always having open ears. Miss Edwards, right there, my mother in school, endless support and keeping me on a straight line. I've made countless mistakes, but she's always there to back me up or pull some strings for me in my favor, so thank you. Miss Gracia, for always letting out positive energy and with a simple hello can brighten up my day. And Miss Rudolph, we butt heads a lot, but she reminds me a lot of my father. But her obvious compassion for teaching and spirited teaching style made it easy to learn from her, and our district should feel very grateful to have her as a young teacher on their side. Miss Ann, I don't know if she's here, but thank you for accepting me and being the awesome and extremely caring person you are. Your love and gratitude is unmatchable. And last of administration, Mr. Smith and Mr. A. Two alpha males that I look up to because of how they go about things and how strong personalities. They do anything for anyone, and that's what makes them special. Both would consistently check on me, making sure I was good and I was on top of my things. I can never thank you guys enough, but I'd like to say thank you for being the main figures to get me through high school. Mom, thank you for being my rock and for giving me life. I'm going to keep it short simply so I don't cry and embarrass myself, but just know that I love you and my sole purpose on earth is to make you proud. Dad, I value your drill sergeant way of raising me as it's molded me into a wise and strong individual. We always butt our heads since we're polar opposites, but those polar opposite beliefs have taught me to be open to the other side, as although it may not be right, it will teach me a lesson. And knowledge is power, and when I think of a powerful, authoritative figure, I think of you. To my best friend Sebastian, thank you for being a loyal brother and best friend who I've never fought with once during high school. Even after betraying him by going to Woodlands for football instead of grinding it out with him at Hastings, he gave me all his support, and he was always there for me, no matter what. I believe your best friend is a reflection of who you are, and I must say it's an honor to be in the same company as him. When you think of a model citizen, it's him. Thank you, God, for being the inspiring and supportive person you are. Our bond and friendship shall never perish. And lastly, I'd like to thank you all for coming to honor and celebrate the HASP class of 2019. I hope I didn't bore you all too much. Now here's the rest of my class. Thank you.
Whew, all right. This next speaker is a young man who has been through the fire and made it out on the other side. Although Michael Pisa was generally quiet in class, whenever he was moved to speak, he made himself known and would hold his own even with some of his louder classmates. Michael, I've enjoyed our chats when you come up to borrow my Chromebook or just drop in to say hi. So here is Michael Pisa.
I always saw this day coming, you know, graduation. It always seemed so far away, but now it's here. And I just want to thank everyone for, you know, helping me through hard times and everything I went through. My classmates here, they've always helped me and always been here. I like to think of HASP as a family. And really, I want to start off with Tani, because why not? I always went to the diner, you know, to hang out with you, you know, just chill. Sometimes I would get, you know, like a milkshake or something for free. Eliza, I would always text you whenever I had a problem, and you would always be there for me. So thank you for that. Joe brought in donuts, you know, so it's always been good. Caden, one of the most outspoken kids I know, you know, whenever something's on your mind, you'll always be there to say it no matter what. Michael always spoke about baseball, the only thing I've ever known you to speak about. Taylor, always speak about something no matter what, you know. Eli, I gotta say, I mean, I played football, but I wouldn't say actually, you know? So, helped with that. Diego, I remember one time I went to go play soccer with you, and I thought, you know what, it won't be that hard, you know? But in reality, it's a lot harder than it seems. So, in algebra, I always had a tough time with math, and Miss Heckhouse was always there. No matter what, if I didn't hand in my work, she would always be there to, you know, respond and say something about what I had to do. So, and I'd like to thank Mr. Smith, because really, if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be right now, because I mean, I never really got work done, but as I progressed through high school, I started to seem like how important HASP was really towards the kids that, you know, didn't really put effort towards the beginning, but then towards then, they kind of turned into something that is really good and, you know, can progress throughout college in a way that you can't really say for most kids in life. Also, I just want to thank everyone else in administrative positions that helped all these kids throughout high school, and it's really been good for everyone. And Ms. Hardesty, I also want to thank you because, I mean, whenever I did something wrong, I mean, you were really there to, you know, straighten me out. So I want to say thank you to him. Also, Mr. Liu, I mean, you know, you're welcome. I just want to say thank you to everyone. So.
It's going to be amazing. All right. So you can always find Taylor right in the thick of it. If you want to know what's going on during mostly any period of the day, she's your girl. From what I've seen, though, she's also your girl if you need a friend to listen, a friend to have your back, someone to giggle with about pretty much anything. She's always in a good mood, which is really no easy feat. Here is Taylor Moritz.
This is bad. All right. It has been a long 4 years, but here we are today, ready to graduate and move on to the next step in our lives. We worked extremely hard to get to this point, but we didn't do this alone. None of this would have been possible if it weren't for the administrative staff, our amazing teachers, and supportive friends and family. These past 4 years have been all over the place for me, but when I first came to Hastings High School, I was extremely nervous being in a new place with people that I'd never met before. A few days into my freshman year, I made my first friend, Eliza, who was also new to the school. She was very welcoming, which made me feel less lonely, and she gave me hope that these 4 years wouldn't be so bad after all. Midway through freshman year, Eliza joined HASP and told me about how much it feels like a family and how much it has helped make her high school experience better. The idea of HASP was something I never even knew existed in high school, but when I found out about it, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Joining HASP was easily one of the best decisions I have made throughout my 4 years here. This program has helped me in countless ways. It helped my grades improve, it helped me to focus on school, but most importantly, it taught me that I wasn't alone. The senior class of HASP has truly turned into my second family. On my bad days, they were always able to make me smile, and on my good days, they always made them better. These past 4 years have been a roller coaster of emotions for me. But at the end of the day, I always walked into school with the biggest smile on my face because I knew that when I walked into my first period class, I would be surrounded by, don't cry, please no, by some of my favorite people in this building. HASP changed my high school experience for the better. But it wouldn't be possible if it weren't for Mr. Smith. Smitty, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making such an amazing program that helps high school become an outstanding experience for students like me. Your constant support and positivity has meant the absolute world to me and has helped me more than you know. Having someone that has never given up on you gives you a strength from within that pushes you to do your absolute best. And I can proudly stand here and say that you have given me that strength. So thank you, Smitty, for everything that you have done for my classmates and I over these past 4 years. I also want to give a huge thank you to my mom. I don't know if I could have done it without you. Oh, God. crying. You have helped me so much into turning into the woman I am today, and I hope I made you proud. I can't talk to you much more because I'm going to start crying really bad, but I love you so much. I also wouldn't be here if it weren't for some of the most amazing people in this building. Joe, oh Joseph. You and I have been close since freshman year, and I'm so glad that I have you in my life. Even though we may fight like an old married couple and get on each other's nerves, you have had such a big impact on my life. And I truly have no idea what I'm going to do without you next year. But you should expect a phone call every other day. Next shout out goes to someone who I couldn't imagine going to high school without. Caden, you have been such an amazing friend to me. I can stand up here and say thank you a million times, but it wouldn't even come close to how grateful I am that you are in my life. You have helped me through so much, and your wise words of wisdom will stick with me for a lifetime. I love you so much, and you should expect some daily phone calls too. The next person I want to talk about is someone I really never expected to be so close with, but Tawny, I don't know what I would have done without you these past 2 years. You have made my life so much better with your enthusiastic attitude and your huge hugs. You have become like a sister to me, and these past 2 years wouldn't have been the same without you by my side. I will never forget all of our memories, like being at my house and laughing at dumb TV shows and going out to eat on the HASP trips and all of the memories in between. I love you with all of my heart. Thank you for keeping me sane. Next thank you goes to Eliza, because there is nobody else I'd rather talk to about literally everyone and everything that happens. You have been such a great friend to me for so long, and my gratitude that I have for you is infinite. I know that you're going to go far in life, and I can't wait to see all of the amazing things that you accomplish. I love you. Where's Ellie? Ellie, the bond we have shared over these past few months has meant the absolute world to me. I love you so much, and I'm going to miss our countless nights together, just sitting around and cracking up at absolutely everything. I'm going to come visit you, don't worry. Last but definitely not least, I want to give a major shout out to some of the most amazing teachers I've had over these years. Ms. Altanasio, Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Buchanan, thank you for making class such an amazing experience. I know I've said it countless times already, but thank you to everyone who has helped me and been by my side. None of this would have been possible without you guys. I got you. That's great. Yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry. So our next speaker was always the first person in our classroom every morning. And during class, I not only knew that he would have his work completed consistently, but I and other teachers have noted how easily Michael works with other kids and how at the end of every class, he always made sure to say thank you. An easygoing kid with a really good sense of humor, Michael is a dedicated athlete and most recently an accomplished writer, having recently penned a one-act play in creative writing. Whoop, whoop. Here is Michael Limatone. And so I know I'm stealing your thunder.
It's fine. Well, for anyone that needs to use the bathroom, please do so. This will be a good time. My freshman year, I really didn't care about school. I would go. I actually had great attendance, but I just wasn't that interested in my classes. I was averaging 70s in all my classes and ended up freshman year on academic probation. At home, there was a lot of arguing. You need to study more, take better notes, memorize your textbook. If Mr. Smith hadn't convinced me to join HASP, I may have never been able to turn my grades and attitude around. I joined HASP at the beginning of sophomore year. To this day, my most vivid memory is walking in front of the HASP community for court when I was written up for being 1 minute late. Thanks, Mr. Buchanan. I'd never been so nervous in my life. But that's not the only memory. There were a lot of good ones. There were also great trips. Working so closely with our small group, working so closely for 3 years with our small group has given me confidence and security, I was very shy and quiet as a freshman, not with my friends, just with my teachers. And of course with Miss Edwards, I was scared out of my mind when I had to visit your office. I always thought I was in trouble until I realized you were always there to help. Thank you, Miss Edwards. You always have my back and help me make great schedules. I appreciate all you have done for me, and I will miss you. Congrats on your upcoming retirement. I would like to thank all my HASP students for accepting me and welcoming me to the program. It's nice to know that I could reach out to any one of you and you will be there for me. I hope you know that you can reach out to me as well, and I will be here for each of you too. Mr. Blum and Mr. Hunt, thank you for recommending me to the program. I never knew it existed. Thank you for going out of your way to reach out to me. Because of your insight, I was able to have a more successful high school experience. And because of you, I stand here a better student and a better person. Ms. Rudolph, thank you for editing my college essay, and thank you for helping me with this speech. Be ready to receive emails next year asking for help editing my college papers. I will miss you, Ms. Rudolph. Mr. Buchanan, thank you for being enthusiastic in class. U.S. history was interesting because of you. You were a great teacher. Really, all my HASP teachers were great. I credit all of you for teaching me in a way I was able to understand and participate. I became more engaged in class, and I came out of my shell and was able to ask each of you for help when I needed it. Thank you. And they say, save the best for last, Mr. Smith. I can't thank you enough for convincing me to join HASP. It was by far the best decision of my life. Well, of high school. I remember sitting in your classroom with my mother, thinking, what the heck is going on? You threw everything you could at me and tried to convince me to join the program because it was something I had to apply for. But what resonated with me the most was sports. If you can't pass, you can't play. You knew that being a part of this, being on the team meant to me. Yep, that was the deciding factor. That and my mother basically saying yes before I even had the chance to think it over. Thank you, Mr. Smith. You changed lives. Continue to do great things. Finally, a big thank you to my parents. High school started out rough for us. We argued and fought a lot. We lost a lot, but we survived. Thank you for helping me get on track, and thank you for always believing in me. Be a good person, be kind, have a good heart, everything else will follow. Thank you. You were right. I am looking forward to college in the fall. I feel ready to take on this next chapter. I will miss you all, but I will always remember the life lessons you taught me here. Thank you again.
All right. So what can I say about the next speaker? Well, for one, we are very far into this graduation and you haven't had your phone out, so victory. This next student loves to challenge. Whether it's an interpretation of a text or what time class actually does end, Eliza Gonzalez is definitely outspoken. She's also a young woman who has worked hard to become who she is. I've had Eliza for 3 semesters in a row now, and in all 3, she was often the only person willing to offer a perspective when faced with a challenging and complex question during class. Eliza, I hope you step into your confidence, pursue more challenges, and allow yourself to continue to grow. Here's Eliza.
Hey guys. Okay, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the high school administration and the HASP family for helping me to get to where I am today, right here. For the past 3 years, I don't want to cry guys, so if I cry, please don't laugh. For the past 3 years, I've been dying to come up here and give my very own HASP graduation speech. I thought about what I was going to say over and over again, and the closer I got, the more I realized how much I don't want to give this speech. I came here freshman year without knowing anyone, and I wanted to knock out the next 4 years as fast as possible. I didn't think that as fast as possible would go by this fast, and I shortly realized that I didn't want it to be over so soon. I didn't know that I'd meet some of the most amazing people in this school. I've made friendships, I've lost friends, and I've gotten some back. Doria, don't cry. And I've gotten some back, as many do in high school. And I've also built amazing bonds. Doria, please stop. And I've also built amazing bonds with some of these people here. My HASP class is a perfect example of some of the bonds that I've built over the years. Freshman year, I walked into Mr. Hunt's class barely knowing any of you guys, and you guys are like my family now. We've grown a lot together because there's been times where we've absolutely hated each other, and I've had to have talks with the class about being cordial because we'd be graduating soon. And there's been times when we realized maybe we all do love each other. To the boys, I'm really proud of you guys, and you guys are like my brothers. I don't want to cry. No. And seeing you guys go off into the real world is really sad and a little scary, not gonna lie. I know that you guys are going to do great things in life no matter what path you decide to take, as long as it's not illegal. To the girls, I've been friends with both of you guys since freshman year. Don't cry. Water break. I've been friends with you guys since freshman year, and I've had a lot of ups and downs with friendships, which you guys have always been there. Okay. We were friends before HASP, and this has only made us grow closer. You guys are going to have a lot of fun outside of high school. I'll miss you guys. To my teachers through the years, you guys know who you are. Thank you for always pushing me to go further when I didn't want to, for reminding me of how capable I am and of how much you believe in me. Mr. Smith, this is going to make me cry, actually. Thank you for never giving up on me, even though I've been late like every day since freshman year. And even though I always check my phone in class, I know how much you hate that. Your heart is golden and your patience is unmatched. And we've been extremely lucky to have you as a teacher, a program leader, and most importantly, a friend. I don't want to cry. Okay. Another water break, sorry guys. Okay, Mr. and Miss Hardesty. Miss Hardesty, thank you for, where is she? Thank you for always letting me hang out in your office and eat snacks when I don't want to go to gym, and then still making me go anyways. Mr. A, I know I'm a pain in the butt sometimes, but you always find a way to keep me out of trouble. I love you guys, I'll miss you. Miss Shaw, I don't know what I'm going to do without you in college. I wish I could take you with me, because I swear I really don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably email you a lot, so be prepared. You've always helped me with school-related stuff and non-school-related stuff, like boy drama and all of that. So thank you. You're an angel. To my parents who aren't here, thank God. You guys have been my best friends and my rocks all throughout high school. No sacrifice that you've made for me has gone unnoticed. I wouldn't be here without you guys, clearly. And yeah, I love you guys. If I could give any advice to the underclassmen or even the juniors, it would be to really enjoy the time you have left in high school. And I know everyone says it, but it really does fly by, and you'll be up here crying like me sooner than you think. So listen to Mr. Smith and don't give him a hard time, because he doesn't deserve it. Do your work, have fun, and bake for your bake sales, because it'll be over really soon. Thank you guys.
All right. So make sure you have the tissue.
That's so sad there.
So, okay, keep going. You're good. You handled yourself. All right. While grading the Regents last year, I remember picking up a paper and seeing this long name written perfectly, beautifully in blue ink, and it was striking. So I asked my colleagues, who is Stratiana Theodoropoulos? Do I know her? And one of my colleagues actually responded, you'll know Tawny when you meet Tawny. And I thought, okay. And she was in my class. And when I met Tawny, I said, oh, I understand now, because Tawny is a force. Tawny is a woman that you know that you've met because she has taken the time to look at herself truly and deeply and realize that she could do better, that she could be better. And so she's worked on herself, and she has done so deliberately. A combination of sweet, very smart, and definitely sassy, blended just as perfectly as her contour. This is Stratiana Theodoropoulos.
All right, I'm gonna need this. Okay. All right. Imagine this. I was in the beginning of my freshman year, straight out of middle school, and I had absolutely nothing together. My grades were horrible, and my attitude was even worse. My mouth always seemed to get me into trouble, and I didn't have a care in the world. I was working at the diner when I got a call from my mother. I picked up the phone, and after I heard her tone of voice, I quickly realized I shouldn't have. She told me I was failing 4 classes and didn't know how I was supposed to pass them. We came to the conclusion that I was going to join HASP, and it's easily the best decision I've made in my high school career. I definitely wouldn't be graduating or have passed all my classes if it weren't for HASP. It's been such an amazing journey from freshman year to where I am right now, but I definitely wouldn't do it all over again, and the people who tell you high school are the best years of your life better be lying. It's been a nice ride with you guys, and I wish the best for all of you. We made it, kids. This is it. Mr. Smith, I've always enjoyed taking selfies next to the clock to show you how long I stayed for in detention. HASP wouldn't be the same without you, and I appreciate all of the countless things you do for us. Thank you for being as patient as you possibly could while dealing with us. Miss Rudd, I had you freshman year and then again junior year, and even though junior year was tough, you were always there to skip a class and run to with all the gossip. I look up to you more than you'll ever know, and our little hallway conversations can always fix my mood and put a smile on my face. Miss Rudolph, thank you for never doubting my abilities even when I did. You are the most kind-hearted, pure, and genuine person I know. I can't even count how many times you've held it down for me. Every lesson you've taught us, you've done it with so much passion. Don't think the energy you bring to the table goes unnoticed. You're an amazing woman, and I thank you for believing in me. Diego, the one thing you said to me that I'll always remember is that even you get nervous before soccer games. But every piece of fear leaves your body as soon as you step on the field and get ready to win. That has stuck with me since you told me, and I think it's one of the most inspirational things someone has ever said to me because you genuinely meant it. And of course, we can't forget, stressful but successful. Eliza, my favorite memory of ours comes from freshman year when we'd skip every single study hall, sneak into the auditorium, and talk caca for hours. You've always been around for someone when they need to hear the truth, and my mom has always known you as the one with the good eyebrows. Good luck in Iona. Taylor, you always keep me laughing with your bubbly personality and awful dad jokes. You've grown so much since you first moved here, and I'm so proud of how much you've achieved since then. From watching scary movies on your couch to just talking to Mom, we've made so many memories worth keeping for a lifetime. You're going to do amazing in California. They're not ready for you. I love you. Riley, you always find some dumb way to put a smile on my face and always make sure I'm the happiest I can be. You always let me ugly cry in front of you without any type of judgment, and I love you for that. Thank you. Eric, Savoy, Shane, and Jackie Jack. In the short amount of time we've gotten to know each other, we really got to know each other. There's never a dull moment in that classroom, and there has never been a non-gossip 80-minute period. Miss Horseman has definitely heard way too much spilt tea. Some wise words for the underclassmen. Whatever you're so strung up on and stressed about, let it go. It won't matter when you yourself are up here graduating and the only thing you can think about is not peeing yourself in front of everyone. If I could give you guys any type of advice, it'd be make as many memories as you possibly can. When people tell you high school goes by quick, they really aren't lying. Appreciate those who appreciate you, care about those who care about you, and love those who love you. That's it.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So our next speaker joined the program during his senior year, which I maintain is a very impressive and definitely bold move, but it's clearly served Joe Roberto well. When you joined the class at the beginning of the year, you assimilated so smoothly, making jokes with Caden, half arguing, half joking, half being best friends with Taylor. So what I've seen from you throughout the course has been just wonderful. Your growth as a writer has been impressive. The fact that you love to bring donuts for everybody every day has really benefited the group. Point of note, how much you love to stroll, to take a bit of a break in between classes, has always kept to keep the balance. So next up to give his speech is Joe Roberto.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. So before I get into the speech of long thank yous and appreciation for teachers and the administration here at Hastings High School, I just wanted to start off with my journey throughout high school. So I came in here freshman year, straight out of 8th grade, still looking like a baby. And it was a shock. I was looked down upon by all the seniors who were like 3 feet taller than me. And it was scary. Sorry. I'm not used to being the youngest since I have a younger brother, and being towered upon was very, very scary, and I was not used to it at all. So, sophomore year. It was a little bit more of a relief, being that I wasn't completely at the bottom of the totem pole, but still pretty low. Shout out to Mr. Z. I don't know if he's not here anymore, but he had one of the best bio classes I've ever been to. I don't know, I found that he was a great teacher. It was very funny. It was an awesome class.
Oh, here we go. Junior year. Junior year is supposedly one of the most scariest years of your high school career, being is that you have to start worrying about colleges and you have all your hard classes. But I found it to be one of the best years for me, both mentally and physically. Meeting new people and finally figuring out everything in my life. That happened to me during junior year. Time for the finale, senior year. Senior year is when I decided to join HASP, and it was definitely one of the best decisions of my whole high school career. I've instantly felt welcome, as I already had some friends here before I joined the program. So, here's coming to my thank you. Okay, I would like to personally thank Ms. Rudolph for having one of the best English classes I've ever been in high school. She was always there to talk to me about my issues, my problems, and and I would like to thank you for always putting up with me and Taylor and me and Kaden constantly arguing and coming for each other's necks. Okay. I would also like to thank Mr. Hunt for always making me laugh and always having the best jokes. And last but not least, I would always like to thank Smitty for making me feel so welcome and just being the best friend possible. Sorry. And going back to Kaden and Taylor, I would like to thank you guys even more. I would not be the person I am now and today without you guys being there for me ever since high school started. You guys were always there to talk to me and make me feel welcome and chill with me. And I would just like to thank you. I love both of you guys. That's it.
So our last speaker, there's a couple ways I could introduce you to our last speaker this morning. I could tell you about his eclectic wardrobe, the fact that he loves to be the center of attention when he's among friends. I could do it kind of like Caden and mumble a little bit and just tell you that he's all right. But the way I'm going to introduce Caden McGurk to you is the way that I will always remember him and think of him. Me chasing him down to get a paper that he had already written, and that when I inevitably sat down to read was insightful, thoughtful, and complex. So today, I don't have to chase you down. But as always, I'm more than excited to hear what you have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Caden McGurk.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a little nervous now. So fuck y'all. So when I first started high school, I hated it. I refused to do work and actually apply myself because I felt that I didn't need school and that it was a waste of my time because I'm a teenager now and I already know everything. So naturally, because of this, I was failing pretty much all my classes, so they quickly introduced me to something called HASP. And the thing that truly caught my attention was the no homework. So I instantly wanted to sign up so I could take advantage of this program and get the easy 100. But I soon realized that HASP wasn't just an easy grade, but rather the feeling of a small community with an already small school. I spent pretty much 4 years seeing the same people every single day. And although not all of us are super close, that definitely builds a connection. And that connection made me strive to succeed because I came to the realization that other people do care whether or not I succeed, which is more than I could say for myself. And honestly, without HASP, chances are I would have dropped out of school, or instead of giving this speech, I would be in classes for an extra year or two. So now I'd like to thank some of the people that made this possible and truly helped me along the way. So the first person I'd like to thank is definitely the most important person in all of this, Mr. Smith. Thank you to Mr. Smith for guiding me into the right direction for success and for being a person I could go to whenever I get too bored or angry during school. Next is my son, Mr. Hunt. Where are you? Hey. Thank you for teaching me 3 times, and you're one of the funniest teachers I've ever had. And Mr. Buchanan is not here right now, but he definitely made junior year one of the best for me, and definitely made me not want to give up on school. Miss Rudd, I'll never forget the time you called me a badass. That makes me blush, not gonna hold you. Thank you, Miss Rudolph, for putting up with me and Joe. We might be irritating at times, but don't front because you love us for it, and you'll definitely miss it. Mr. Brownstein, I don't think he's here, but he was definitely the realest teacher I ever had, and although I may not have been the best student, he definitely held it down and helped me graduate this year. And thank you to Mr. A for putting up with everything that I did, and only getting really angry once. So thank you for being reasonable and definitely patient with me, and for being a role model I can look up to. The next is my dad, Pop Dukes. Thank you for being there and never giving up when others have and always having my back and sticking up for me when times get rough. Even though I don't, I know I can always come to you about anything. And also thank you for being someone I can strive to be. I don't say this a lot, but I love you, Dad.
Love you too.
John, you're like a brother to me, and I 100% spend the most time with you, so it's no surprise people have actually referred to us as the dynamic duo. I know I can always go to you for a good stress-relieving rant because we're both miserable, and I know you'll understand where I'm coming from. It's always fun when we joke on everybody for our own pleasure at other people's expense. Hashtag prom 2K19. Ilana, I know sometimes I could be a dick and you get all pissy at me, but whatever. Because you're still like a little sister to me, and I'm not going to say that because I'll get in trouble. But on a lighter note, some of the most fun moments I've had is when our ADHD is going off the charts and we start wilding and act out. It's definitely fun. And John's mom, I can't forget about you. Thank you for all the wonderful meals and all the times you just rant ridiculously. It's entertaining. And instead of just going down the HASP senior list, I would just like to talk about you all. That you all should be very proud of yourselves, and that obviously we have people to thank, but thank yourselves most importantly. And thank you all for being there for me during this journey. So yeah, this is my pleasure.
But she's okay. So before Mr. Smith comes up to give kind of one of his final remarks, Tawny would like to come up and give you a little something, Mr. Smith, maybe.
Surprise! I love you so much. Okay, I just want to thank Mr. Smith one more time for the amazing efforts he puts into HASP. Thank you for never staying mad at me for too long when I make stupid mistakes and always steering us back onto the right track when we drift off a little. You're like a second father to us, and we all thought it would be a good idea to get you a little something. It definitely doesn't make up for all the mess-ups we've made along the way, but we're hoping it'll get you to forget most of them. We love you so much, and I couldn't ask for a better person to not only watch me grow, but be one of the reasons I grew. Thank you. We love you.
I don't like surprises, but well, thank you. Before I talk about all of you, big shout out to the young Mrs. Rudolph. Yes, as Eli said. This is Miss Rudolph's first graduation ceremony, and she did an amazing job, with all of them over the course of the last 2 months, getting them ready for this big day. And it's so impressive how much she's brought to the program as a new teacher in the program. Okay, on to you guys. We've heard a lot, from all of them right now, but the chemistry of all of them together is really unique / challenging when you have them in a room for 80 minutes. And they each bring something to the mix, and it's just like a cooking recipe, right? Like you have flavor profiles, and you have these, big, bold, brave, beautiful flavors that all of you have brought to the mix and what we've heard about. But we have to recognize you're all parts of the whole, right? And we've been listening for the last hour or so about what has influenced you and the people that you wanted to thank and the things that were important to you. But I want to take a minute now and tell you what you've given to us, okay? So I'm going to talk to each of you directly. I'm going to make believe nobody else is here for a second, okay? And I want to tell you basically what ingredient you've brought to the mix. So let me just say at the outset, all of you have brought us headaches and heartaches, okay, for the last 4 years. But the things that we forget about those quickly, and we recognize the things that mean so much to us. So let's start with Eli. You bring drive to the mix. Your desire to excel in football is unsurpassed. And you remind us of the importance of having a passion in our lives. Tani, you bring empathy to the mix. As you said yourself, you've had ups and downs, but you remind us of the importance of keeping everyone together. You've been the matriarch of HASP this year, and it's been an inspiration to all of us, how much you cared about the program and how much you cared about each other. Even with people that I know you weren't like really friends with, just the importance of empathy. Mike Limatone, you bring silence to the mix in a great way. The power of reflection, which we always forget. If you haven't read the book Quiet, that was published a couple of years ago, read it. It's about the power of introverts and how important listening is compared to speaking. Mike Pisa, you said it yourself. You bring resilience to the mix. And you gave yourself a little credit, but you need to give yourself a lot more credit. High school has not been the easiest for you, but here you are. Taylor, you bring happiness to the mix. That smile lights up every room you walk into. And I swear, I don't know if she's in a good mood or a bad mood when she walks into my room, because she's always smiling. And that's awesome. It's contagious. Caden, you bring honesty to the mix. You speak your mind, and you have no tolerance for BS. That's admirable. You're welcome. Joe, you bring loyalty to the mix. You are sincerely a friend to all. Joe's the kind of guy where you have to like go to the dentist or go to the DMV, and he's like the friend you call. Hey, you want to go wait online at the DMV for me? And he's like, sure, yeah, that sounds great. That's the kind of guy Joe is. He is sincerely a loyal friend. Diego, you bring work ethic to the mix. Not always academically, but as kind of Ms. Rudolph mentioned before, your ability to hustle outside of school and work and play soccer and do all these things is so admirable, and that we all can learn that type of work ethic because you have a goal. And finally, Eliza, you bring us leadership. And it's not just being the judge in HASP Student Court for nearly every session this year, but people gravitate to you, and they gravitate to you for a reason. Because you are really a leader who kind of gives us unconditional love to people when they look up to you. So the beauty of all this is not that how this has come together and influenced all of us, but how you've influenced each other, as we heard about. It's what, in education, we call it lateral learning. And it's something that we always strive for. So it's with that, I congratulate all of you on graduation. And to kind of circle back to what I started out in the beginning about talking about the longevity of HASP and the legacy of HASP, well, the 9 of you just wrote another chapter into the long history of HASP. So congratulations. I just want to wrap up by saying a few thank yous, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Wilson, who will close out today's ceremony. First off, I just want to thank those who made today possible, the custodial staff for setting up our barbecue, Mr. Jernigan, who is retiring next year, but we have him on a 10-year contract to barbecue for HASP, so he'll be doing that for a long time. Mr. Theodol for recording all of this. And then, of course, we hear a lot about HASP in the graduation ceremony, but it's so important to recognize the community in which HASP thrives. First and foremost, the administrations in both the middle school and the high school, Ms. Kipper, Mr. Keogh, Mr. A, Ms. Hardesty, who are relentlessly support our program. And outside of the school building, our Board of Education, our PTSA, who is always so generous and caring and loving to HASP and cares so much about the program. And that's really the reason HASP is able to thrive, because it has this foundation that makes it, gives it the ability to be creative, try new things, and have days like today. So with that, I thank everyone for attending today. Just a reminder to students before I turn it over to Dr. Wilson, after today's ceremony, you can head right up to the Burke Estate, and we'll be up there for our barbecue. So, Dr. Wilson.
So, congratulations. You guys were terrific. You can make a living writing speeches right now. You can do that. Actually being able to express yourself, whether it's giving a speech or to show feeling or all of these things that you displayed today is a basic fundamental skill that people need to have. You have to learn how to express yourself, if it's heartfelt or whatever it may be. And we've seen a lot of that coming from you today. It's clear that you've been through a wonderful experience. It's clear that you've shared that experience with one another. And it's clear that the fact that you've shared it is one of the reasons it's been such a good experience. And that's very, very special. The working together, the supporting of each other, that's so evident and that you can take with you. And you can look to replicate that throughout your life and even build communities and join communities and experience that all over again. It's a true story, and because of your remarks, I'm so glad you're a history person and see the value in that and have helped the kids to see that too. So I'm going to just briefly, very briefly, because I'm not going to make a speech because I couldn't follow your act. It's too darn good. But I can tell one story, if I may, because it's true and it's about you. When I was in Pelham as a superintendent for many, many years, and we had a practice, and it was to always seek out what we call good practice, best practices in other schools. And there was a superintendent at that time. You won't probably remember him, most of you. Some of you may. A guy by the name of Jay Russell. Hasn't been here in years, but he worked here a long time. And this guy, I would see him at superintendent's meetings, and every time I saw him, he would be bragging about Hastings, how good a school. Fair enough, it is a great school. And he felt that he had a role in helping the schools to develop. But he would always talk about this program. He would say what a great program it was. So as it happened in Pelham, we were aware of these kind of programs and what they do and how great they can be for kids. And I finally said to him, you know what? I want to see this program of yours. You're talking about it every 5 minutes. And he came to us and brought a couple of kids. I don't know if you were perhaps involved. Okay, it's a long time ago. But in any case, he came and he made a presentation and knocked the socks off of the people in Pelham. They then developed a program based on your model, based upon your best practices. And if you go back to Pelham today, they call it Bridge Academy. It's the same thing. And it's, I think, a tribute to you that you were way back then a model program which has been replicated elsewhere, and that it really is, will show. And by the way, it's another moral story. If you want to be good or if you want to do something, look around and find the best practice and try to follow that. That's what Pelham did. It worked for them. You are still a best practice and a model school, and I applaud you and salute you for that. Oh, thanks. That's all I want to say.